Mike Florio, friend of the show, celebrating, I think, 25 years over at ProFootballTalk.com, has come out with his list of actual contenders. And when you look at the National Football League, Mike and others are starving for some change and some different teams, a refresher when it comes to the Super Bowl. Because since 2017, it has been the Eagles 3 times, San Francisco twice, the Rams twice, and the Bucs once, representing the NFC. For the AFC, it has only been the Patriots, Chiefs, and Bengals. So over 8 seasons, 7 total franchises have taken the 16 total berths in the Super Bowl.
And you never hear parity, though, with the NFL, like a parity problem.
Right.
You hear it in the other sports.
Right.
And then the NBA had the ultimate lack of parity over the last, over like the previous 30 years, 40 years. But in the recent years, it's been the most parity-driven from a getting to the championship perspective. And then baseball's right there. Hockey, I mean, it's been like Florida wins a couple, Tampa won a couple. You've had a lot of the same teams get in, but you never hear the parity word because there's so much turnover at the bottom of the playoffs.
We talked about this while you were out. I brought it up during a commercial break because I'd seen it on Reddit, and it was stunning. Yeah, because you think about the NFL as like, oh, that's the parity-driven league. That's the everybody's 500 league, and they've got all this turnover. How many of the 32 NFL teams have never won a Super Bowl? Just off the top of your head.
Okay, let's go. I got Houston.
No, throw me a number.
11.
16.
13. And you don't think of it like that. I think most people think like, oh, okay, there's the Lions and like the Texans haven't won one. But like generally, I don't think you're thinking, no, more than a third of the league still has not won a title in the Super Bowl era. And it is just, it's become very limited in the AFC, like you say, and there's a little bit more turnover NFC-wise. But as long as like Kansas City is the constant that they've been, the NFL does have a little bit of a repetitive problem.
So who's on Florio's list?
So he lists the teams that are legitimate contenders, and these are the ones who he thinks these are the teams that can actually perform and compete for a Super Bowl this year. And then he's got 3 more that he has on the outside of just like, we'll see. Maybe they could. We'll see how things go for them. Maybe they can work themselves into contention. So these are the 10 teams he says are ready to compete right now in a Super Bowl window this year. The Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Texans. That's the AFC.
Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Texans,
and Bengals.
Okay.
NFC, Eagles, Lions, Rams, 49ers, and Commanders. And the 3 could work their way into the discussion: Broncos, Chargers, Vikings.
Dang, so we didn't even make the...
We're not even in the maybe. We're not even in the maybe. That's not where we're at right now, which is actually, it might not be so bad. They're right now, it's one of those times where nobody is talking about them like a Super Bowl contender.
No.
At all. And yet, there's still like a positive outlook. People are still optimistic, it feels like, right now. Yeah, here, people are optimistic about where the Cowboys can be.
Although I guess nationally, too, as they were on the list of, like, surprise, this is an underrated team.
Yeah, and so it's kind of this, they're in a weird spot where people are optimistic, think they're going to be better, and yet nobody's talking about them as a contender. So it's almost just kind of like, well, you can be optimistic and sort of play free because nobody actually expects you to do anything of substance. Yeah. And so it puts them in an interesting... The last time they were in this spot was 21, and they broke out and played really well. But I'm looking at that list of 13, and my first inclination was, is it too, like... is he missing some teams? Is it too narrow? Is he just avoiding some teams? The more I look at it, the more I'm going, this is too wide. I don't think this is... I don't think all these teams have a shot to compete. And I think... I think legitimately what you're looking at right now would probably be...
Does Walchuk need to cover his ears here?
Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Eagles, Lions, and then one other. And I don't know who the one other would be right now.
Yeah, I don't think Houston has it either. I don't think San Fran has it. I don't think Washington has it.
I'm really surprised he threw San Francisco on there after everything went sideways last year and they had to purge some stuff.
I could see the Rams. I could see Cincy. I think there's 7.
I could see it. To me, that's the maybe category you talked about. I could maybe see Cincinnati. The defense is better. Yes, Cincinnati's got a shot.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. The Rams to me are just, they kind of hang around. Like the Rams winning it this year or being in contention to me would be the same as like, oh, the Pacers made it.
Look,
I hate them. They're just so well coached, and Stafford's like
the Rams are one of these teams I can't figure out.
Yeah.
I want to discount them in my own brain, but then they sit there and make noise. That the media loves to put the Rams up there.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's L.A. It's flashy for, what the Rams have been, and they're gonna if they are, and like, McVay's a really good coach, Stafford's a really good quarterback.
Look, let me tell you what's going to happen. All right, put it on the wall, write it down, take a picture. IDGAF. The Cowboys, everyone talking about 8 wins. They're going to start off. They're going to be 4-2, and they're going to be hyped up. And oh my gosh, here it is. And then Stephen A. I'm giving you the exact chronological timeline. Stephen A. will say, just wait, right? Playing the odds, as it's easy to do that a team doesn't win the Super Bowl, and then you can say, I told you so, and you get all your clicks. They'll be 4-2 or 7-3, one of the two. And the hype train will be out of control, and then we'll see what happens in the second half of the season. But 4-2 or 7-3, it's going down, and then first half Cowboys season hype.
If they're 7-3, then I'll just say, if you're right about that scenario, then I will add on to that. Brian Schottenheimer is like the Vegas favorite for Coach of the Year at that point.
Well, he can be the Vegas favorite for Coach of the Year at that point.
Yeah, at that point.
But then we get to the second half of the schedule. Because you got Giants, Bears, Jets, Panthers, Commanders, Broncos, Cardinals, Raiders.
We mentioned you have to be 7-3 if you want to make the playoffs. If you want to get to 10 wins, you've got to be 7-3.
Because after the Raiders, you get Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, Chargers, Commanders, and then you get the Giants and the Vikings sprinkled in. But
and obviously that will
he's actually putting it up on he's putting it up on the wall.
That will change
on the wall.
That will change. It's a beautiful wall. That will change as we go along. Like, for instance, last year. Yeah. Beating San Francisco before the year, we would have been like, what a victory. And then at the end of the year, we're looking at it and go, like, beating San Francisco meant nothing. Like, because San Francisco wasn't anything. Yeah. And Washington, you beat Washington once on the road in November last year. And before the season, if I would have said that, you'd have been like, yeah, you better beat Washington. And then meanwhile, when it actually happens, like, oh, no, that's a good win. That's a good football team. And so a lot of this will change. And we're probably going to be looking at 2 to 3 teams on the schedule completely differently by that point. But, I mean, they are going to be in a position to they need to be in a position to have a strong record entering the second half of the season if they want a shot. Yes, that because to me you can't just scrape by in the first half of the season and expect to compete.
Nope, because you're gonna lose more of those last 6 or 7 games than you win. You're gonna have a losing record
on paper right now.
On paper right now, you're just gonna have a losing record. So I mean, you got to. I think 7-3 is the number. That's the magic number to hit, to have even a remote chance of making the postseason.
So there it is, Mike Florio, his list of contenders over at ProFootballTalk.com.
Where is your contender list right now? Like, do you disagree on those teams we threw out, or do you think it's more narrow than what Florio has?
I think it's more narrow. I would probably I want to cut Houston, but I mean, I do think CJ's really good.
Yeah.
And then I don't think the Rams are going to be some mighty team, but then I'm like, they always are like lingering there, it feels like, at the end, and maybe they can be a dangerous threat. Let's see what Devontae is going to be. How many did he have in the NFC? Like, I don't think 5. Washington is going to. Look, I've seen this many times. Now, I saw it under Dan Snyder. If Dan Snyder was still here, I could guarantee that the Commanders would take a Texans type or larger step back. And I know RJ's going to say ownership is overrated and all that stuff in the culture and the clubhouse and the locker room. But right now in my mind, I grew up around this. I've seen it too many times. Washington is not set. And they're just not, it doesn't happen for them back-to-back years. Right. Not that they don't deserve it, but, they're like a mush. They're the mush.
They're the mush. They are. They are the mush.
I'm a little surprised that not even in the maybe category he doesn't have Green Bay.
Green Bay is another tough one to figure out.
If Jordan Love, they're
11-6 in third place
11-6, and that was 1-5 against their division, which means they were 10-1 against the rest of the NFL last year. They were really good against everybody but the North.
I could not. I don't know how to figure the North out at all. Like Minnesota could have a great year again, but they also could be terrible because they have a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
Detroit. The biggest loss to Detroit isn't Ben Johnson. I think it's the center. I think it's a much bigger loss than the OC.
They lost their DC as well.
They lost their DC too.
I can't figure out San Fran. So I'm the opposite mentally with San Fran. Like my brain, I'm so Cowboys scarred. I can't just look at San Fran's offseason losses and say, nah, let's take a step back. I'm just like, San Fran's going to be good. I'm just programmed to believe that because of the culture and Shanahan and all that stuff in the system. But I'm opposite when it comes to Washington. I'm like, no, it's Washington. They're not going to be good back-to-back years. They're not going to sit there and win 12 games. Take the under on that easily. It's like, that's where my brain is.
It's like when the Rangers, 2000s, like during the 2000s leading up to the 2010s, every year you were like, well, like maybe the Angels have lost enough, and then you're like, no, the Angels are still going to win the division. Like it never seemed to matter. Even if you were up big, you're like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the A's were different. Like the A's were like kind of like Washington, where it's like the A's can be good, it doesn't matter. Like they're going to collapse because it's the A's, and that's kind of where you're at in the same sort of headspace right now. Still with San Francisco. San Francisco, even as 6-11 last year, it was funny. You still had people when they were at 6-9 were like, they could still mathematically make it. Nobody wants to see them.
Yeah, that's how I was.
And people just are still trying to wrap their heads around maybe they're declining.
Put a little
ring on it.
Maybe a half unit bet on Detroit to miss the playoffs.
Oh!
They got 9 road games.
Jake Reitman rolling in his grave.
They have 9 road games this year. 7 of them are against playoff teams from last year. An 8th is at Cincinnati. And a 9th is Week 18 at Chicago, where it's going to be 30 below and
golf hands.
Jared Goff's Sean Sharif hands. They'll fumble about 8 balls.
Yeah. All right, so there it is. A little inside the star and around the NFL.